Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Adira and I do book reviews every week. Today I want to talk to you about this wonderful novel, The Far Field by Madhuri Vijay. You know how they say that art should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comfortable. This novel does exactly that. It's about women's lives in rural India, in urban India, across classes, across castes and religions. And it's also about the Kashmir Convention that India has been struggling with for almost a century now. But at the center of the book is family. It's about two families who are connected by a very strange turn of fate. One in Kashmir, one in Bangalore. One very well off and the other not so much at all. The book mostly revolves around its protagonist Shalini, who is a 30-year-old when the book begins, and it's mostly a memoir. She talks about her childhood, her adolescence, and her 20s. And Shalini is just not a very likable heroine. She is not warm, she is not easily relatable. She is definitely not the sweet, fragile, or sweet, strong woman we are used to in fiction usually. If anything, Shalini is just the opposite. She is blunt, she is detached, she is indifferent to a lot of things which most people are not indifferent to. She obviously has a lot of issues with her parents. Although it's not exactly a coming of age novel, Shalini does discover herself and she changes as a person a lot during her late 20s, which is basically what the book is mostly about. In Shalini's life, the biggest influence is her mother. So Shalini's mother, to put it crudely, is a piece of work. There is this phrase Shalini uses to describe her mother. It goes something like, her tenderness was as devastating as her viciousness could be. And I can't imagine a sentence that will better describe this character. Shalini's mother obviously has some peculiar characters. She is rude, she is extremely honest. So basically you know where Shalini is coming from. You kind of understand how Shalini is and why Shalini is the way she is. And Shalini's father is very detached but loving, and he doesn't really connect with his daughter or his wife. Yet Shalini has a pretty decent childhood. This book also conveys the message that parents are also imperfect individuals. We are kind of conditioned to believe that they are always right, they are always perfect, but this book shows that they are rarely perfect. If anything, they are as flawed and as naive as their children are. So basically, the story begins when Shalini goes to Kashmir after the death of her mother. She's about 21 when her mother passes away, and she's on a downward spiral. And at a point when she feels that she doesn't have anything much to lose, she decides to go to Kashmir to visit somebody who was her mother's friend when she was a child. So later on, we go on to understand that Shalini's mother had somewhat of a platonic relationship with this man from Kashmir who was a salesman who would come to their house with very beautiful clothes and sells it to them. And somehow this man had a major impact on Shalini's mother, and in turn her childhood altogether. There are some really poignant scenes wherein Shalini's mother behaves in a completely sweet way, which is kind of unexpected of her character actually, because of this Bashir Ahmed. So after Shalini's mother's death, Shalini goes to Kashmir, finds out Bashir Ahmed after going through a lot of pain, and she gets to know his family. They become very close, and of course I don't want to tell you the climax of the story, but it's basically about the helplessness of scores of people who are betrayed by the state, the society, their own families. To Madhuri Vijay's credit, this novel doesn't take a political stance per se. It's a very human story. When we talk about Kashmir, immediately we are thinking about the violence and the militancy and all sort of horrible things we have heard about that beautiful place. It is this writer's maturity that she does not dramatize any of this violence or horrible things that's happening. She does not romanticize their grief. And personally, I felt that This novel shows us the human side of Kashmiris more than pretty much any other contemporary novel has. Because it does not have a lot of political issues shown in it. It is mostly about how individual lives are impacted by these horrible developments. And when I visited Kashmir a couple of years ago, somebody told me, a Kashmiri man I was speaking to, he told me that everybody wants Kashmir, but nobody wants Kashmiris. And when I read this book, somehow that struck a chord. This is an emotional book, no doubt about it. This is not something which you can easily read and forget and move on with. It will stay with you and it must stay with you. It is intense, it doesn't have a very speedy, fast, engaging narrative, and it does uncover a lot of unpleasant truths through its course, and a lot of uncomfortable opinions come up. That is what makes this book so intense, it's so real, and a must read, I would say. So please pick this book up and read it and tell me how much you loved it or hated it, and tell me why. I will wait for your comments in the comment box below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.